Tonight on NewsWatch, a surprise announcement from the Vatican. The latest on why the Pope is stepping down.
Plus, digging out in the dark, how folks are trying to get back to normal after this weekend's northeast blizzard.
And how one former criminal is working to keep kids away from violence in Russia. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Well, it hasn't happened in 600 years, but it happened today. Pope Benedict XVI resigned, making history as the first pope to do so in 6 centuries. Yeah, it's shocking news from more than 1 billion Catholics around the world. Heather Sells has more in tonight's top story.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
He's 85 and has slowed down significantly in recent years. But the Vatican stressed today that no specific medical condition prompted the decision. The Pope himself said, quote, "After having repeatedly examined my conscience before God, I have come to the certainty that my strengths, due to an advanced age, are no longer suited to an adequate exercise of the patrine ministry." New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan said he was shocked, but noted that the Pope's declining health was clear.
I'm told when he was elected as successor of St. Peter back in 2005, he shrugged and said to his brother cardinals, "Boy, I sure don't have the strength and the durability that Blessed John Paul II had." So he's been well aware of his frailty.
Pope Benedict has overseen a series of scandals and controversies, including the sex abuse crisis in the Catholic Church. He met privately with victims of pedophile priests during a trip to the U.S. in 2008.
No words of mine could describe the pain.
His critics charge he was not progressive enough, upset that he condemned gay marriage, the ordination of women, and allowing priests to marry. But supporters viewed him as a steadfast leader and praise him for warning against the subtle influence of secularism. The Vatican will now hold a conclave before Easter to elect a new pope. Arguments for a pope from the Third World are expected, given that half of all Catholics now live in the global South. Heather Sells, CBN News.
And joining us now with some thoughts on these developments is Dr. Corny Becker, an ordained minister and professor at Regent University. Welcome, Dr. Becker.
Good to see you, Mark.
Yeah, good to have you on the program. Well, it's uncommon for a pope to step down. Do you think the Catholic Church's succession procedures will allow for a smooth transition to a new pontiff?
Mark, it's incredibly uncommon for this to happen. The last time that it happened was almost 600 years ago, and several changes have been made. In actual fact, one of those recent changes happened in 1912 when this idea of abdication or resignation was introduced back into the Catholic Church. And the procedures, I guess, will certainly help them, but it will be unprecedented for the community, Catholic community, to deal with this.
Now, there's a possibility of a college of cardinals that could elect the new pope from Africa or another non-European country, maybe even from here in the U.S. How likely is this to happen?
I think it's quite likely, and I've been watching, as I guess everybody has this morning, and I guess the forerunner is the cardinal from Ghana. It's very likely, and it will be a great and very important move to make.
Why would that be such an important move to make, to have the Pope come from Africa, from Ghana?
It is time for the Catholic Church to recognize where the greatest growth of Christianity is taking place, and especially within the Catholic community, and that's going to be in the Southern Hemisphere, either South America or Africa, and in some ways even the East.
Now, the Church has faced recent challenges, of course, the ongoing sex abuse scandal. Also, do you think that the Church can overcome these challenges and actually flourish in the years ahead?
Mark, I think it is possible. I was slightly disappointed with the announcement of the Pope, and that I think he did not speak about his hope and plans certainly about the future and positive ways about how the Church can grow. It is pivotal now for the Catholic leadership to speak out very clearly with words of encouragement and certainly words of optimism about the future. If they do that, it is possible.
Let's talk about the legacy of Pope Benedict. What would you say his legacy is?
I think his most important legacy is going to be theological. He's ultimately a theologian, and he's written several great books that has helped the Catholic Church in some ways move back to a more orthodox and more biblical stance.
I would say he seems like he has stayed true to his conservative roots and hasn't compromised. Yes. Would you say that's the truth?
He certainly has, and I'm slightly disappointed that he's giving up so early. I was hoping that he would bring some more reform back.
But 85 years old, not in good health. Do you think you thought he would stay on a little bit longer?
Normally, a pope, the idea of a pope is more than just leading. It's also an exemplar of how to live and how to die. It is highly unusual, the step that he's taken.
Interesting. How to lead, how to live, and then how to die. All right, Dr. Corny Becker, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
In other news, a weather system in the Gulf spawned a tornado Sunday night in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It tore through one of the city's main streets and caused damage at the University of Southern Mississippi. Campus police declared a state of emergency and asked anyone on campus to stay away.
This is not minor damage. This is significant damage. Thousands without power right now.
No deaths have been reported, but authorities say at least 10 tornadoes struck Mississippi and another 5 tore through parts of Alabama, injuring more than 50 people. And instead of tornadoes, folks in the northern plain states are seeing another snowstorm that follows the monster blizzard that pounded New England this weekend.
Parts of the Northeast received more than 3 feet of snow. Millions of people continue to dig out tonight, and thousands are still without power.
Take a look at the strong winds whipping the heavy snow and ice in Minnesota. Gusts up to 50 miles per hour and higher swept across the region and led to whiteout conditions and treacherous travel. The strong winter storm system is expected to affect the area through today. Meanwhile, the monster blizzard in the Northeast brought some of the highest snow accumulations ever recorded. It's blamed for at least 15 deaths in the U.S. and Canada. Cleanup continues. It's going to take days to recover.
It's horrible. When you do shovel your driveway, the plows come and they put the snow back onto the driveway.
Utility crews are working around the clock to restore power to thousands left in the cold and dark. Around 180,000 customers are still without electricity in hardest hit Massachusetts.
We have no power, no heat, no electricity, no nothing.
An army of snow trucks worked on the Long Island Expressway, one of New York's busiest, after close to 3 feet of snow. At the height of the storm, some drivers had to abandon their cars. Others spent the night on the roadway.
I got through the night with just starting the car every 40 minutes, getting some heat.
Driving bans put in place across the region during the storm have been lifted, but for many it doesn't matter. Snow has buried cars.
I work in a nursing home in Brooklyn, and I had to call in a couple days now to let them know I cannot come to work. And the snow is high like a mountain.
In hard-hit Boston, school is closed today.
We opened several community centers for kids to go to and the parents if they want, free of charge.
Northeast airports are operating close to normal schedules. More than 5,000 flights were canceled at the height of the storm.
The city of Boston today sent out so-called snow strike teams to remove massive piles of plowed snow that have been clogging roads.
In other news, a leading Republican senator says he will hold up President Obama's nominees to head up the Pentagon and CIA. Senator Lindsey Graham says he'll delay the nominees until the White House provides more information about the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi, Libya last September. Graham accuses the administration of stonewalling requests about the attack. Even so, Senate Democrats say they plan to push ahead with the vote Tuesday on Chuck Hagel's defense secretary nomination. Meanwhile, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say President Obama's use of deadly drones against Americans involved with al-Qaeda needs closer inspection. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee tells CBN News the question that needs to be asked is if the Constitution allows for the president to have the sole power to decide to take the life of an American.
The question is, can that ever be constitutional? Because if it can, and the individual president makes the decision as to what the criteria is, that's a pretty dangerous precedent. It's why we have 3 branches of government. It's for the checks, the balances, the oversights. And when you remove the oversight and you remove the check and balance, and you have one branch of government that becomes judge, jury, and executioner, you bypass the judicial and the legislative branches. We really are operating into some very, very strange territory there.
Some lawmakers are proposing the formation of a special court to review the use of drone strikes.
Heavy fighting broke out this weekend in Mali between government troops and Islamic rebels. That means thousands of Malians displaced by war will remain homeless a while longer. In the meantime, CBN's Operation Blessing is there, bringing them help in their time of crisis. Gary Lane has the latest from the capital city of Bamako.
Amin Abreu was planning to return home to Gao after French forces liberated the city. Her hopes are now dashed because Islamic militants are back, fighting Malian troops there. Amin is a Christian who fled Gao before the armed Islamists arrived. She says when the rebels came, they vandalized her church and burned a Bible. She told us they said they had defeated Jesus, but that is a lie. Amin and thousands of others have found refuge in the capital city of Bamako.
Many of the internally displaced that are still here fled the north last spring as the Islamists advanced. Each of them have stories of tragedy to tell, very sad stories, and they're in great need, especially for food and other supplies.
Workers with Operation Blessing are now on the ground in Mali, providing these refugees beans and rice. While they found shelter at some local churches, they still need nutritious meals. More than 250,000 Malians are internally displaced. Thousands more are refugees in neighboring countries. Former Muslim turned Christian Ibrahim Sisi says Islamic militants would have killed him if he hadn't left Timbuktu. He's thankful for CBN and caring Americans.
I am grateful for what you've done. It is special and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Operation Blessing. May God bless you.
So as the struggle to liberate Mali of armed Islamic militants continues, CBN and other Christians are helping those who have fled the fighting, demonstrating the love of Christ to Malians, like little Sarah here, who won't be returning home anytime soon. Gary Lane, CBN News, Bamako, Mali.
Coming up, what a decline in the American birth rate could mean for the future of the country.
It's probably something I've had for many years, and every year the PSA would be a little higher. I just kept kind of ignoring it. You know, one of those guy things. It'll go away. It'll go away. Finally, one day, Janet says, "You're going to the doctor." They did a blood test. My PSA was 14. I needed to get a second opinion, so we contacted Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
To find out more about Cancer Treatment Centers of America and our unique treatment options for complex and advanced stage cancer, go to cancercenter.com.
The really great thing is that you just go online, and if you have prostate or lung cancer or whatever, you can see what their survival rates are.
You can also check for participating insurance plans. Cancer Treatment Centers of America is different. You feel it the moment you call or walk into one of our hospitals. It's state-of-the-art medicine, unique treatment options, and a level of compassion that cannot be copied. Why? Our people. People who give you not only their expertise, but their humanity and the most thoughtful, well-organized, patient-centered care you'll find anywhere.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America go way beyond what normal hospitals do. I knew that they had the technology to take care of my cancer. It's a device called Calypso.
Calypso is GPS for the prostate. We're able to get 4-dimensional real-time tracking of prostate movement during radiation treatment.
It eliminates a lot of my side effects. It makes sense. It just makes sense. I own a deli. I'm back at work. My customers come in and say, "Gosh, you look good." And some of them say I look better now than I did before I left. I didn't expect to learn a lesson about how to treat people by being in a hospital. You can tell when somebody really cares.
Every minute counts when you're fighting complex or advanced stage cancer. So please call or visit cancercenter.com today. Appointments are available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
President Obama awards an Army war veteran the prestigious Medal of Honor today. Former Staff Sergeant Clinton Romisha received the award for his courageous leadership during a day-long firefight in Afghanistan. The October 2009 attack happened in the mountains near the Pakistan border. Romisha led the fight to protect a U.S. camp from hundreds of Taliban fighters. He also served twice in Iraq and is the fourth living person to receive the Medal of Honor for actions in Iraq or Afghanistan.
As the country moves to provide coverage for an influx of patients under Obamacare, one state foresees a major obstacle. California leaders say there are not enough doctors to treat all the newly insured patients. That's scary. So some lawmakers want to redefine who can provide health care. They say more power should be given to physician assistants, nurse practitioners, optometrists, and pharmacists. But some doctors say the move could endanger patients and drive up healthcare costs.
The birth rate in the U.S. hit an all-time low in 2011. The rate came in at 12.7 births per 1,000 people. The number of teen mothers set a record low, and women in their 20s also had fewer babies, but birth rates rose for women from 35 to 44. Researchers say the weak economy is one reason why fewer women are having babies. Author and population expert Jonathan Lass calls the trend a calamity. He warns it will lead to America's demographic disaster.
Entitlement programs, Medicare and Social Security, they became very difficult to maintain because you have too many people who are retired, not enough younger workers working to support those systems. But then there are these other downstream effects too. It becomes very hard to sustain a dynamic economy because consumption shifts downward, innovation dries up, and capital pools begin to shift because you have older people who are looking to draw down their investments and not enough young people looking to invest their capital and grow it over the course of their lifetimes. And then you wind up with, it becomes difficult to even sustain national defense.
To watch the entire interview with Jonathan Lass, go to CBNNews.com.
The Maryland Medical Examiner and Montgomery County Police are examining the death of a pregnant woman believed to be in the midst of a late-term abortion at 33 weeks. Sidewalk counselors from the Germantown Pregnancy Resource Center say they spoke with her several times last week as she visited an abortion clinic. Pro-life groups in Maryland are asking the State Board of Physicians to revoke the license of her doctor, Leroy Carhart. They're also asking the state to revoke his clinic's license. 9 states currently outlaw abortions at or after 20 weeks. 5 states prohibit it in the 3rd trimester, and 7 states at 24 weeks gestation.
Up next, hear why one Russian thug turned to a life of violence and why he's renouncing it.
My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, callous feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts, be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
The president of the Philippines is meeting with the country's largest Muslim rebel group in an effort to push through a peace agreement. The agreement would end more than 40 years of violence. The country's president says a final peace deal could be signed as early as next month. Under the deal, the minority Muslim population will be granted independence in the southern Philippines. Negotiations continue on the amount of power and money that would be granted to the new southern Muslim region. That's surprising. Well, radical Muslims have also been fighting a brutal rebellion in southwest Russia since the late 1990s. 2 wars and dozens of terrorist attacks have killed thousands of people there.
Now, one man is on a mission to bring peace and the gospel to the region. George Thomas has his story in tonight's Focus Report.
Gennady Turkun is not proud of his past, and he gets uncomfortable talking about it.
I left home when I was 13 years old and got entangled with the wrong crowd. I did a lot of things that I'm ashamed of.
He's from the small Russian city of Krasnodar. His life reads like a Hollywood mafia thriller. Drugs, armed robbery, prostitution, hired assassin, money laundering, gun smuggling, you name it, Turkun did it all. And then some.
It's as if I became the devil's slave. I even remember making a pact with Satan to serve him.
And his deeds eventually caught up with him.
I was arrested and sentenced to 20 years in prison.
That's the past. And to witness the power of a life transformed by God, look no further than Gennady Turkun. The year was 1987. The former Soviet Union faced huge political changes, and a young Turkun sat in prison.
I had a bad reputation in prison as someone who had special cult-like powers. Prisoners were even afraid of me.
One day, some Christians came to share the love of Jesus. Turkun says it was the first time he had ever heard the gospel message. But it took 4 years for it to sink in.
In 1991, I realized its true meaning. I dropped to my knees in the prison cell and told God I was a sinner. I didn't want to live one single day without Him in my life. From that moment, I went from serving Satan to a servant of Jesus.
The prison miraculously shortened his sentence by 5 years, and he was released in 1996. The day after he walked out of prison, he walked into a Bible training seminar organized by Russian ministries, which focuses on bringing the gospel to the former Soviet Union.
Russian Ministries was very instrumental in my life. Their classes taught me how to share my new faith with others. They also put in me a missionary heart to plant churches and help train the next generation of leaders in my country.
He was baptized shortly thereafter. Now, for more than 10 years, Turkun has been leading a church in the predominantly Muslim Northern Caucasus region.
I am convinced that it is the love of Christ that can turn this region around.
That's a tremendous show of faith because Islamic radicals have waged a bloody insurgency here for years. In that time, 2 wars and scores of terrorist attacks have killed thousands and displaced many more. Turkun's goal? Reach this war-torn region with messages of reconciliation and forgiveness. One way is to reach young people. Turkun coordinates dozens of youth camps each year in partnership with Russian ministries and local congregations. Di Gusalova is a member of Turkun's church and helps with the camps.
These kids have to know there is an alternative lifestyle to violence. We spend time playing games with them, handing out gifts and building relationships. It gives us an opportunity to share the gospel.
Many parents say the camps are God-sent.
I love it when they talk about peace and getting along with other ethnic and religious groups. They are helping to build bridges, and this is important.
In one city, the local Communist Party even took out full-page newspaper ads promoting the youth camps.
You may be surprised, but there are many Christians in the Communist Party. We believe that the messages of Christ can give these kids a brighter future.
When he's not coordinating camps or preaching, Turkun trains local believers to become the future leaders here.
It's all about missions and church planting.
Working in the Northern Caucasus is not without its hardships. It includes the volatile region of Chechnya, where Muslim militants and Russian forces have battled back and forth to control the province. There is relative peace now, but Islam's influence is growing.
With the help of the Russian government and several Muslim countries, including Saudi Arabia, Chechnya has today erected what could be the largest mosque in Europe. For evangelical Christians living in this province, life for them can not only be challenging, but potentially dangerous.
Ramza has first-hand experience. CBN News agreed to conceal his identity for protection.
I've been repeatedly warned by Muslim radicals and local authorities to stop preaching, but I will not. I am a simple man whose life was one day touched by Christ. I have a responsibility to tell others about Him no matter the cost.
It's the price that Ramza, Gennady, and the other believers are willing to pay to bring lasting peace.
God changed my life in prison that day for a reason, and this is it: to bring love and hope to these regions.
George Thomas, CBN News, in Grozny, Chechnya.
Up next, a novice inventor creates a life-changing device for a young boy overseas.
Listen up for an amazing offer that can change the way you hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Frustrated with your hearing?
What did he say?
Well, hear better now. Introducing the fully rechargeable MSA-30X, a revolutionary device that features the latest microsound amplification technology that can barely be seen. Independently tested to help you hear up to 30 times better. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. MSA-30X works by capturing and amplifying sound waves, yet its lightweight ergoacoustic design is discreet. It form-fits in and around either ear.
I forget I'm even wearing it.
And MSA-30X is powerful. Hear clearly in restaurants. Never miss another word on TV or at the movies.
My wife complains that I have the volume up on the TV too loud.
And I didn't want to be in the same room with them.
Now I can hear everything clearly.
Simply adjust the volume as you desire. Other units use so many batteries and they're difficult to change. But the MSA-30X is completely rechargeable. Simply plug it into the wall.
I tried other devices that had batteries, but they were always such a pain to change and so costly. But this is rechargeable, so I figure I save hundreds a year.
Bulky sound amplifiers can cost hundreds, but try MSA-30X for just $59.95 and we'll include a cleaning brush and 5 comfort tips. But wait, in this special TV offer, we'll cut the price in half. Now you can hear up to 30 times better for just $29.95. But there's even more. We'll double the offer free. Just pay additional processing and handling. Wear them both or give one to a loved one. Did you hear that? That's 2 MSA-30Xs for just $29.95. The MSA-30X Hear Better Now offer. Get 2 for just $29.95.
All I could say is just try it. It could change your life.
To order the MSA-30X sound amplifier, call 1-800-535-0654. That's 1-800-535-0654. Or you can go to MSA30X.com. Call or go online now.
And finally, a Washington man may be your typical supplies salesman by day,
but he's proving to be quite the inventor by night. Ivan Owen is a self-proclaimed novice inventor who's created some pretty crazy things, from a rapid-fire ping-pong ball launcher to a Zadie remote-control bowler hat. But it was his costume mechanical hand that caught the attention of a mom in South Africa. She asked Ivan to recreate a miniature version for her 5-year-old son who was born without fingers.
He just lacks the ability to grasp anything. Liam remarked from the very beginning that it looked like a robot hand. The moment at which he made that realization as to how it functions, he excitedly shouted, "It copies me."
Aw, well, the little boy can now pick up coins and even grasp a basketball. And what's best, Ivan's invention cost only a fraction of the cost of the $20,000 prosthetic models. It's amazing.
Incredible. How his hobby turned into such an incredible invention for that little boy.
Yeah, it changed his life, and hopefully other kids as well. Yeah,
just the beginning. God bless him. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Good night.